Hi, bookish friends. It's your girl Alyssa, and I'm here with the author of book one of The Cure of Us. This was book one, and this is the first book in the Blood Money series. We've got Black, queer, vampires. We've got angst, we've got spice. Without further ado, we're discussing book two, The Fate of Us, which is coming out this month. And I'm just going to pass it off. Thank you for
Oh,
coming.
so good. I'm
Yeah.
excited to be here today.
I'm excited to have you here. We're doing a little mini episode to discuss your second book, the inspiration behind it, kind of what you want readers to know going further into the series, and more. So, how would you describe book two to folks who haven't necessarily heard of book one, who want to dive into Black romance, Black vampires?
Yeah, so book two is a part of my Blood Money series, and it follows each sibling within the Washington cartel. So it's like a family saga, paranormal, urban fiction. And so the first book follows the daughter of the kingpin. The second one follows the brother, who is the twin of the Sapphic, the main character in the Sapphic romance. And so this one is a continuation of book one. We're diving more into Salem, who's the main character's life, and getting to know him more because this he was like a fan favorite. So I was like, he definitely has to go next. So we're getting the continuation, the new responsibilities that they have, and you get to dive into his world and see what he's dealing with and how he's navigating life.
Mm, I love to hear it. I did have to say I adored Salem, Washington in book one. I
Yeah.
have a thing for like whenever there's siblings in a book, and it becomes a series. I love to see like what happens to them moving forward. I wanted to say as well, being the twin brother of Sage from book one, what did it mean to you to give Salem a story and be able to expand on this character more?
Yeah, so I always knew that I wanted to be like a series that explored every single sibling. It
Mm,
was important for him because I feel like he was kind of close to my heart. And I was a little hesitant because I've never written like MM romance in a sense. So I was kind of nervous. I wanted to make sure I did my research and did him a
mm,
good due diligence. So I think it was special because I'm used to writing sapphic characters because of my experience, but having to talk to other queer men in the space to get their perspective, making sure the intimacy is right. And I wanted to illustrate a character that is more than just sexual, because I think a lot of times, like, we're looking for the MM erotica, but I wanted to kind of balance the spice out with his journey so we can get to
mm.
know him on a deeper level and understand, like, why he's kind of like out there and loves to have a good time, to give him some depth and a good character arc.
And I feel like as someone who's had the opportunity to read this amazing book, I hear you. And
Yeah.
I honestly just, it made me want to reread book one again. So, because it carries into book two. And I love that.
Mhm.
Some tropes that you've put on your social media that I absolutely adore about The Fate of Us, book two of the Blood Money series, is Cartel Family Saga, a story of self discovery, features queer romance, MM and FF. Human vampire mafia. The stakes are high. We love to see it. And everyone has secrets. Releasing March 31st of this year, and it'll also be on Kindle Unlimited. I think it's amazing how you've made this series feel so visceral. As I'm reading it, it feels like a movie in my mind. I'm give it. I don't know why in my mind it feels like a moody '90s, spicy, dark, like
Oh.
charmed energy. Like that's how I feel. Like genuinely. And I wanted to ask, when you're writing, specifically book two as well, do you see it as a movie in your mind? Would you prefer it to be a movie or a miniseries?
So I do see it as a movie in my mind. Usually I get like visuals before I even start writing. And so it's funny
Mm.
because I usually have an idea of how I want things to go, but as I type, it's like the characters are actually reenacting it in my head. So it kind of goes completely different from what I expected. I would love for it to be a mini series because I like the style of episodes coming out and like leave you on a cliffhanger because I love that. And I think it'll give you more space to like tell the story. So yeah, I would love to. It's been a thought and I've been having some conversations, so hopefully it's something that can happen in the future.
Ooh, okay. I love the teaser. As we talk a little bit more about book two, I wanted to understand when you think about writing romance and there's a paranormal element and there's family drama and dynamics,
Mhm.
Felix, I uh, the love in Felix.
Oh, you're good.
I love that he's a hacker. I love that he is this really cool student. He's a doctorate student. There's a certain level of confidence,
Mhm.
and just his mind. I was wondering, why did you want to pair up Felix and Salem? What did that mean for you?
Yeah, it was kind of random. I'm not gonna hold you. So like a slight teaser in book one when they were meeting with him at the gala to like get hooked up with their mics or whatever, like it just automatically came out that they were flirting. And so I was like, oh, this is interesting. So by the time the next book came out and I wanted to figure out how to navigate book two, I was like, okay, I'm gonna continue with this. But I think it was also important for me because I love like a big teddy bear with
Mm.
like a small dainty, like I love that dynamic. So I was like, he definitely has to be like this hardcore, like he works in the cartel, he's very protective. So I wanted to have that type of representation, but not only that, but because he wears like gold grills, like I wanted this hood guy to have this soft side to him, and you don't really
Mm.
see a lot of that in like the MM romance world. So I wanted to kind of challenge that narrative and have him present in a way that may seem very masculine, but also know that masculinity shows up differently for all, gay men, and to have a different form of representation.
I absolutely adore that. Talking about representation and the complexities of queerness in literature, I know, big words for Elmo. Um, as queer people ourselves, when you're writing these stories, what are your hopes for the future of this series? What do you want people to feel when they're reading it?
Yeah. I want them to feel seen. I want them to feel heard, even though it's like a fantasy or like paranormal dynamic. Even if you feel relative to what they're experiencing, I think that's all that matters. I think my importance in writing these stories is a lot of depth, a lot of healing, a lot of love that you have to fight for, because I think that's what we face on a daily basis. So I want it to be like
Mm.
a mirror for you to kind of see and get something from the book that may just like make you think twice about life and what you're reading.
Ooh,
Yeah.
even though this story is rooted in a certain level of darkness and fantasy and vampires and this complexity, I wanted to know, why did you choose this vehicle, like vampires and the magical elements, for this story? I could have easily seen it written without it, but it
Yeah.
feels deeper because it has it. So why did you
Mhm.
choose vampires?
Yeah, so I love vampires, and that was kind of like my introduction into reading fantasy or
Mm.
paranormal. To me, it's the kind of similar. But something about the element of just like, I don't know, I just love vampires. So I was like, well, what if I threw this into the story? I mean, it's not normal. And I feel like that's what I love. I love different. And I was like,
Mm.
how can I intertwine this element with the urban fiction element? So I was like, let's just do it. Let's just
I
have
love
them selling blood and we get some Vegas.
I'm here for it. We
Yes.
have fantasy, we have urban fiction, we have a little bit of like organized crime, mafia vibes.
Hmm.
Like we have a lot of complex characters. There's a lot going on in these books, and I love
It
it.
is.
I wanted to know, when you're writing like urban fantasy, and there's this steam and yearning and the complexity of the characters. Do you want to see more queer representation in that genre? And do you feel like there's enough? Do you feel like there's been enough in the past, or do you think there's more right now?
Yeah, definitely need to have more queer representation. That was another inspiration for me was I was looking for specifically like lesbian representation in the urban fiction world. There was only one book that I read, but I was like, well, what about Black people?
Mm.
So I think there needs to be a lot more representation. There may be some more books out there, but I haven't really come across them. But I feel like we always need more and more and more to the point where you just can't even pick because there's too many, right? So I feel like the more we continue to create, the more options we'll have, and we'll get more excited about allowing queer people to be in the urban fiction realm because I know it's a little controversial anyway. So why not push the envelope?
How's it controversial?
Because I feel like a lot of times when we think of, and maybe this is just my experience from watching a lot of urban fiction media, is like we don't really have queer people in it. And if there
Mm.
is a queer person, it's like a stud. Like it makes me think of I forget that show a long time ago. But it was a stud in there. So we kind of have representation of a specific type of person that operates in the streets. And then it makes me think of like P-Valley, where we have the queer character. We have the I forget what her name is, but she owns the club, and
Mm-hmm.
then she ends up getting with the rapper, and just like masculinity and gayness doesn't coexist in the streets. And so I feel like putting those two together can be very conflicting because it makes
Mm.
people uncomfortable and it ruffles a lot of feathers. So I think we should definitely continue to show ourselves in this space.
I agree. And as a fellow fan of P Valley, their love story, the car, there's a scene where they're in this car and there's twinkly lights in the car, and they're in
Hmm.
this like field, and you
Yeah.
see this softness to this like harder male character, and you
Hmm.
see this beautiful woman exploring that love story in a Black queer sense in the South. That
Right.
was one of the most tender scenes I've ever seen on television. it was hella queer, and I was like, I need books
Oh
that
yeah,
match this energy. Yeah, like I
absolutely.
as a lesbian, I do feel like in a lot of ways, like the only representation I had for a long time was like growing up was like the L word, and
Yeah.
it was hypersexualized, and that's I love Spice as much as the next girl, but the queer characters who were of color, like Bette was cheating all the time. She didn't treat her partner super well. Like there's another
What?
character who has substance abuse issues, and like they, spoiler alert, they kill this person off like
Mm-hmm.
outside of the show when it does get another season later on. And then there's one more black character, but she ends up being kind of like emotionally abusive. So it was one of those things where I was like, there was not one black character here who was like described or presented in a soft or in an approachable or in a committed way. All of us either had cheating issues, or it was like, you know, this person's not available to be loved, doesn't want to be. And I was like, that's not like, I growing up as a baby gay, that made me feel really bad about myself. I was like, I don't see myself on screen, and I don't
Mm-hmm.
see myself in books. So it's low key like I'm out here by myself, which is
Right.
not true at all. And reading fantasy was like my escape growing up. So finding your books now and like seeing what you're doing and creating now, I wish I had this as a teenager. And I'm so grateful that they're out there now, because who knows who could read it and be like, I love vampires and I'm exploring this part of my sexuality and who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And this is making way for a really beautiful self-discovery in the real world. And then a love of fantasy in their mind. And that gives people a lot of courage in real life.
Yeah.
So I think it's amazing what you're doing. We do need more queer rep in urban fantasy and romance. And I will say, like, I love a good mafia romance as much as the next girl. I love a love interest who is like, it's all or nothing. I got you. Like, pew
Yeah.
pew everywhere. I love that. But like, sometimes the queer characters will be side characters. They'll
Mm-hmm.
be the best friend. They come in for a chapter, they dip out.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it's like I wanted a romance before I found you, and I'm so grateful I did. I wanted a romance where it was like, if it's male, male, female, female, non-binary, queer, trans, like I just wanted a romance that was like that energy of like the intensity of
Mm-hmm.
an urban romance, where it's like the dark, moody character in the corner who's like, I'm gonna take care of you, or I got it, or you know what I mean? Like just like
Yeah.
unhinged, but
Yeah.
queer. I wanted
Yeah.
it so bad,
Me
and
too.
I
And I
got
was like, let
that
me just write it.
for sure. I was
They
like, I'm
don't
losing my
exist.
mind.
Girl.
And I same thing
Right.
with like the Vampire Diaries. Queer stuff came later, but in the early
Mhm.
seasons, no.
Right.
And it's just things like that where it's like, can I get the drama of the Vampire Diaries, right? But queer and black as hell. And I mean,
Yeah.
you're sitting here and you're like, I did it. 100%. I got exactly what I wanted in The Cure of Us.
Yeah.
And now while reading book two in The Fate of Us, I feel like it just segues into that.
Hmm.
And I love seeing a male love interest who is being loved by someone who is this teddy bear and who is this like strong, intelligent, badass character who has a sweetness and a softness for him. And I just like, queerness is such a beautiful thing, and the spectrum of the community is so vast. I think it's important that we all get love stories, and it doesn't have to be steeped in trauma or pain, or it doesn't have to be like, you don't get a happy ending, you don't get
Hmm.
this. It's like, we deserve them. We may have to
Yeah.
go through a lot of shit to get there, but we
Right.
deserve it, you know?
Right.
And I love that you're adding that to the urban fantasy and romance genre, especially because we need it. And it shouldn't be controversial. We do crazy stuff in books.
All the
We do
time.
crazy stuff all the time.
We're fucking on
Okay,
monsters. We're doing all types of stuff. Like, let's
we
have a good
messing with
time.
monsters. We have stories like, you know, hunting Adelaide. We're cutting off hands, girl. Like there's a lot going on.
I
And I'm sitting here,
know.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, if you guys can do unhinged stuff, then in the black romance genre, especially in urban fantasy and just in mafia, we deserve to be able to be just as unhinged and
Hmm.
have queer rep. You shouldn't
Absolutely.
have to choose. You should have it all.
I
I want
agree.
it all. And you get that with your books, and I love that.
I'm so glad.
100%. Speaking of a little bit of the tropes in your book for The Fate of Us, what was your favorite element of the book? And what do you want readers to know about book two?
Yeah. I think my favorite element was like diving into Salem's interest outside of the cartel, because although it's like the drama going on, I wanted y'all to see like the full 360 of him as a human. So I
Mm,
think being able to get to know him more, even as I'm writing, to understand what he likes, what his passions are. So y'all get to learn like his passions, his dreams, why he behaves the way he wants to behave. And I think that's what I wanted people to take morally, just from the, not morally, but more so throughout the entire series, is like, oh, these are people that are involved. Who are they outside of the cartel? What are
Mm.
they navigating? How can we get a little arc in there so that way, my stories don't end great. Like, they're not all happily ever afters. So like sometimes you might want to just hit a wall, and that's okay. That means I did my job.
You're sitting here like, if I provoked that deep emotion, I
Right.
did it right.
Exactly.
Speaking of an exclusive coming up, something I'm very excited about because you be working.
Girl, I'll be
Roll
trying.
the Dice.
Yeah.
Roll the Dice is coming out season one, a sapphic strip club series. It's the pre-orders are out, limited time. I cannot wait to read the series. I'm so excited, girly pop. Can I read the synopsis on your Instagram? Is that okay?
Yeah, and I'm gonna hold up the book because I actually have a little
I'm screaming. Oh, me. If I could just
one
reach
of
in, if I could just grab that real quick.
it.
Synopsis. This is the synopsis of Roll the Dice. What happens at Drip stays at Drip. At the center of it all, Dice, the most sought after stud exotic dancer who plays by her own rules. By day, she's a disciplined fitness trainer. By night, she commands the stage and sometimes her lovers. Surrounded by her chosen family, a loyal crew with secrets of their own, Dice learns that the life outside the club is just as wild. There's E, the charming hustler that will do anything for her kids, and Jody, the military vet turned head of security, running Drip with precision in a haunted past. Last, and certainly not least, the infamous Trix, doming in and outside of the club and doesn't take no for an answer. Ah, every episode drips with tension, temptation, and the kind of drama only ATL can deliver. Step behind the velvet rope and into a world where nothing is off limits. This Substack exclusive series is now available in paperback until March 9th.
Yeah, just passed, but
I'm sitting here and I'm like, ugh, girl, where can people find Roll the Dice? And can you tell me a little bit more about this series?
yes, I love this series. This was my side conquest because I discovered Substack now, and I saw that people were telling stories, and I really needed something while I was writing book two to kind of like get my mind out of that world. And so I don't know, I love strippers. I love stripper culture. I love stripper literature. I love spiciness, and I love P Valley, and I also love I forget the All the Queen's Men.
Mm-hmm.
So, in watching the show, it inspired me to be like, what if these were just lesbians or sapphic characters? And I was like, let me just write it. So I decided it to be episodic. So if you did want to read it in like real time as it came out for season one, you can subscribe on Substack, and then I have like a paid tier that you can enroll in to read all the episodes. But right now it's no longer available because it's a Black Women's Book Festival exclusive. But afterwards, I'm thinking about making it accessible to everybody before season two comes out. So you can subscribe to my newsletter just to stay up on that. But yeah, it's really special to me because I don't know, my first introduction into like the lesbian world was like discovering the stripper culture of like studs. And I was like, so like, oh my God, a baby dyke, just so excited to see all of this. So I was like, let me pay homage to that part of my life and just introducing them to the public in a different way.
Oh, I absolutely love that. And I'm so excited to learn a little bit more about Dice, the main character, and how they're navigating these possible romances. I
Hmm.
love it. You got options. Go off. And I really, really wanted to ask about you have a way of presenting these characters that feel so real and so fleshed out. How are you looking forward to like readers experiencing Dice? How are you excited for them to see this sexy element, but you also bring a lot of softness? Are you
Yeah.
excited to share that with the world? I know you kind of already have,
Yeah.
but I'm sitting here and I'm like, ah, I'm waiting to get my hands on that book. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, are you excited? So,
I am.
yeah, did you present that in this one as well? Like that
Yeah, I
slightly
did.
soft?
It's very, yeah, that dynamic is in there. So you'll get to meet Dice because Dice is the main character, but you'll also get to see other POVs of the characters and how like their all experiences are like happening simultaneously.
Mm.
So even though these characters are flawed, they are not making the best choices. And I think I wanted it to be messy like TV because I would love for this to be a TV show.
Ooh.
But making it super messy and they may get on your nerves. But you kind of might find something that you like. So I just wanted to create messiness, but also softness in the way that they experience intimacy and love. Because I feel like when we're watching like dramatic TV. We have to humanize them in a sense for people to like
Mm.
want to follow.
100%.
Mhm.
So I really, really wanted to highlight your newest book coming out, which is The Fate of Us. So excited for that to come out soon. Oh my gosh, time flies. And I cannot wait to get my hands on Roll the Dice. I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm the kind of girl, I don't have patience. I need that book in my
Like
hands. I'm
today.
not waiting. I need it now. So your girl fought. I was fighting for tickets to Black Romance Festival, but my computer crashed. So I did not get them, but we move on because we can still read and support Black authors year round. And
Absolutely.
I will be keeping an eye out on the Black market for that copy of that book. I'll be keeping an eye out, Queen. I'll be doing what I got to do. You know, where'd your
Got
finger
you. I
go?
got
I
you.
sold it. I did what I had to do. So I'm going to get that book. But thank you so much, Monique, for coming on the podcast. Everyone, please check out The Fate of Us, book
Yeah.
2 in the Blood Money series. I will link it below in the show notes as well. It'll be on Kindle Unlimited as well. So it comes out March 31st. And we're
Mhm.
doing a little live. When this episode comes out, the live will be coming out the end of the month to celebrate the release of this book. So that'll be on our Instagrams, and I'll have that pinned for y'all. But this mini episode was for listeners to hear about your book and hear about your love for this series and about your love for Black queer representation in the urban fantasy genre, because we need it. We need it bad. And Monique, you're doing the job. You're the first
Thank you.
to do it and do it well.
Thank you.
So where can everyone find you on social media? Where can they find your book and more things about you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram at by Monique Good. I am also on TikTok, but my page kind of evolved to more like creativeness, but it's at good.reads. And then all things Monique Good is at moniquegood.com, or you can find my catalog. I also have some signed paperbacks available. You can just see kind of what I have going on.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on, Monique. You were
Thank
amazing.
you.
Everyone who listened, please like and subscribe on YouTube if you're listening there. Follow on Spotify, leave a nice little rating. Everything helps. And check out The Fate of Us, book 2 of the Blood Money series, coming out March 31st, 2026. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.